Oh shit! Welcome, have a seat, my name is Shree and let's waste some time together. In my previous video I told you that I'd be making a part 2 of that video specifically about YouTube, and here I am delivering. The reason why I said I'd make this video is because YouTube isn't honing in on one type of craft, it's the amalgamation of many. And I meant it. I understand how stressful it is for beginner YouTubers to learn all the things you have to learn to make even one decent video. So I'm here to ease some of that stress. First things first, you're here because you're in the exact same position I was in last year when I first started. You want to take YouTube seriously for a change. You said to yourself, enough scrolling through this shit. I want to make something here so people can scroll through my shit. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, YouTube isn't exactly rocket science. I mean, you take a camera and you shove it right in front of your face. That's it. The question that brought you to this video was, can I make it big on YouTube? I understand because that was my question too last year. And I've also realized that there is no concrete answer to this. This discussion usually devolves into a lot of technical jargon like SEO and paid ads and so I'm not going to touch on those surface level solutions right now. Anybody out there can answer those for you. And there are also Chrome extensions like TubeBuddy and vidIQ to help you with that as well. No, I want to talk about those core problems that people don't touch on or even consider to be problems. And then it's too late and they end up becoming the biggest reasons why your channel is not growing. And you don't even know it. Of course, people can disagree with me on these issues, but I have seen time and time again that people who have doubled down on these 3 core issues have broken through and made a name for themselves on this platform. But of course, I can't speak on behalf of these YouTubers and their experience. I can only speak on behalf of mine and what I learned from observing these big YouTubers that may help you make these changes. Because I believe that without fixing these issues, YouTube algorithm would not favor you, SEO and hashtags would not save you, and people will ignore your paid ads. So without further ado, let's get into the top 3 issues that you need to face head on to become the best you can be on YouTube. The first issue we have to tackle head on is the issue of our environment. When I first started out on this platform, it was on February of 2018. On that day, equipment was the last thing on my mind, and my backdrop was Sherlock posters that I glued on the walls to hide the falling paint. As you may have guessed, that video really wasn't much of a success. Thank God, because that wasn't my agenda at all for my first video. I was very nervous at the time about letting myself bare with my naked truth, and truth be told, at the time I had no thoughts about like being a YouTuber and taking this up as like a hobby or a career even. But after uploading, I kind of realized how powerful this platform was, because even though it was my first video, some people actually came up and commented, some showed support, and some even subscribed. It was the first time I realized that the message was more important than the presentation. However, it wasn't long enough before the lack of a good presentation in my videos was starting to get to me. I mean, no one was complaining. It was just me going, man, I could make better content than this, I have it in me, people would like me more if I do this, if I do that. Trust me, there is no one more annoying than our own heads getting in our way. But that doesn't mean that I didn't have fun with my later uploads. Sure, the lack of a good quiet room with some decent lighting and air conditioning was still a giant problem, but I tried my best to make video production on my own a fun experience. This experience also taught me where my interests lied and made me see my own strengths and weaknesses. I made video essays on YouTubers, talked about writing and storytelling, reviewed and compared movies, even did taste testing with friends when I ran out of ideas. Then I started to notice that slowly but surely, the environment that I was working with, a hot, noisy, cramped up 1-bedroom apartment, started to mess with my head. because I thought I'd be judged for this. It really reached its peak one day when I was making this video on a popular YouTuber named Eugenia Cooney and her situation, and the noise, the heat, and the editing on this dinosaur laptop I had since forever really put me through hell. In the end, I just gave up. I did the best I could with cleaning the audio and didn't even bother editing it, to be honest. no software would run on my laptop, and I was just like, I can't even run Movie Maker on this bitch. The outcome was just not something I was happy with. Looking at it, I was like, not only this is not my best work, I didn't want to do this kind of thing at all. I wanted to make content like this, where I help people share stories and talk about becoming a better writer and storyteller. That was my initial goal. The issue of a bad environment really gets to your head, especially if you want to make videos, because you feel like people are judging you, that you're not cut out for this, you don't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. And that's only part of the issue. The next issue is, of course, the bad environment's equally evil twin, bad equipment. In the beginning, I told you that I bought a new PC. Thank God I could save up for this baby with at least a graphics card, because the last one that I used to work with was literally nightmare fuel. My first ever video was made on an old Lenovo smartphone, and several other videos after that as well. I couldn't really afford a DSLR at the time, and forget about good lighting, but I did what I could with what I had, and the excitement and the adrenaline rush of like doing something new was really carrying me forward at the time. I didn't care about equipment or anything at all. I mean, people were really responding well to my videos, and when I saw that this response, my natural inclination was to give people their time's worth. But little did I know that my limited gear would not allow me this luxury. The bulbs that I'd use would turn off often because power cuts are a frequent thing here. And I'd open the window, but well, that would bring in insane noise from traffic outside. Then something funny happened. My phone, which was like my only source of like footage at the time, would lag my audio for about 3 to 5 seconds, and I could never really get it to sync. It was a very bizarre and odd problem, and Google wasn't really giving me any answers. Not to mention my dinosaur of a laptop, which I mentioned was not allowing me to run any video editors at the time. I mean, I tried to run a free video editing software like VSDC, and even that would lag so much that I actually remember deleting an entire project and rage quitting. I'm not a rage quitter. I have never rage quit before in my life. That's not me. So naturally I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on YouTube and I'm gonna check every single video after video on YouTube on budget-friendly cameras and budget-friendly audio equipment and this and that, and well, budget-friendly my ass. I knew I had to save up majorly to even attempt to buy one of these entry-level filmmaking gear. Eventually, I ran into the familiar problem of having too many ideas and too little money. And little by little, my upload schedule dwindled, and with it, my ideas for good videos. The third and final issue that we all face, which actually hampers our work the most out of all the three issues, is our shaky self-confidence. Okay, let's just say on that day when I had the rage quit moment, God magically made it rain MacBooks that day or something. Do you think I'd have become a maestro YouTuber, shelling out 7 videos a week and bro-fisting my way to 100 million subscribers? No. There was one other thing standing in my way, and I was too blind to see it. Myself. The biggest factor for my shaky self-confidence was my weight at the time. Back in 2016, I was 300 pounds. And after I got diagnosed with diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and anxiety disorder, that I finally decided that I need to flush the junk food and cigarettes down the toilet and really start working on my weight and really losing the pounds. Why I'm mentioning this is because I may have started making YouTube videos ever since 2018, but I actually wanted to start from 2016. You can imagine why I didn't start back then. I mean, my weight gave me severe body dysmorphia. I mean, I have been bullied before for my looks, but I was just not ready to be bullied by strangers on the internet. I was ready to be judged for my work, sure, but not my looks. And my anxiety at the time did not help the situation at all. Because of this, I actually prejudged the audience reaction to my content without even posting anything. What am I, a mind reader? But it was fear, ladies and gents. Fear of judgment and my own insecurity that didn't even allow me the chance to try to be myself on camera, and well, long story short, I got stuck in my own head. Somewhere inside, I knew in my heart still that the message was more important than my presentation, my looks, or my house. But you see, the problem with lack of confidence is we become our own worst enemies, and the one person we can't escape from is ourselves. So, what should we do? Hang our hats and call it a day because we're fat or old or shy or lack equipment or a quiet room with a good-looking backdrop for our videos? Should we just give up? There is no way to watch this video and feel like giving up, because in this day and age, it actually takes a little bit of courage to say the words, "I am a YouTuber." With all the judgment that gets passed around with that statement, I'm sure you can't even open up about these problems I just listed without people saying that you're whining too much. It's really hard to open up because people naturally assume that you want to make YouTube your income source, which is fine. Many people successfully do that. But many people also want to pick this up as a hobby, for example, or pursue independent filmmaking, just like many others have done, like David Sandberg or Bo Burnham, for example. Or just as a side hustle, which is possible. I mean, there are many ways to make money on YouTube. You just have to wait and have a business plan and let your audience grow first, which in itself is the biggest challenge that we are addressing right now. So without further ado, here are some solutions for the 3 primary issues that you might be facing. First, the issue of confidence. Confidence isn't exactly a God-given personality trait. Oftentimes, it is cultivated from rock-bottom moments. The thing that helped me realize this was to look at comedians on this platform. You heard me, comedians. So many of these stand-up comics have their own podcasts on this platform at the moment, and many of them have such incredible confidence that there are even channels breaking down their techniques of confidence. It's a weird suggestion, I know, but it is true. I found out that the reason why they are this confident about things is because they develop the courage to make a fool of themselves. They have the courage to bomb, to be booed and screamed at, and have their jokes stolen, and yet they seem unfazed by the bullshit around them. In fact, they confront this bullshit head on.
That's just showing to you that your interest in me is retarded. No, not from your friends. Bullshit.
I took this principle by heart and told myself, so what if I'm fat? So what if my dysmorphia screws with me sometimes? You want to make fun of me because I'm fat? Screw it. I am gonna tell my story, and I'm not gonna let myself get in my own way. And you know what? The bullshit in my head just keeps fading away with every video I make. Well, personally, I've also realized that I can't look for perfection in every single video I make. I am gonna lose subscribers. I'm not gonna have the best thumbnails and hashtags all the time. I'm probably going to dissatisfy someone with my opinions. I may not have the best upload schedule in the future, but hey, I'm still doing it, you're still watching it, and if you can get your head out of the numbers game like I did, you can actually focus on the quality of the content, which, in my experience, I found out is the only thing that the algorithm favors. Next, when it comes to equipment, you're gonna have to make peace with the fact that you are probably going to have to shell out a few bucks. You need to have some good gear, but you don't need to have the best gear. Okay, there is a bee now. There is definitely a honeybee in this room. Like I said, I used to film videos on this old Lenovo smartphone, which I know it lagged the audio, but the rear camera is still usable, and you can do this too. You can definitely start with a smartphone with the quality phones that they have in the market right now. And you don't even need the top model. I mean, they're very cheap. For a beginner, that's totally fine. I knew I had to save up majorly to even attempt to buy one of these entry-level filmmaking gear. And you know what? That's exactly what I did. I waited, I worked, and I saved. In a year, I was able to manage this bad boy, an SL2, which really is a beginner-level camera in the Canon range. But it's fine for me because it's giving me decent quality that I can work with, and I don't have to worry about audio lags anymore. Thank God. For audio though, you have to pay a little bit more attention. In my experience, I found that you can have the worst video quality, but if the audio is bad, then you've lost the audience retention. This is a Zoom H1n recorder, and I use this bad boy for every little thing I have, every little idea for a novel, every single idea for a YouTube script. I use this kind of a dictaphone sometimes, but it's a really good microphone. I carry this with me everywhere I go. I mean, this is like the perfect buddy for you, this kind of thing. If you want to start a podcast or if you want to make a video essay, especially if you're the kind of person who travels a lot, if you have to move around all the time, you can have this. And for audio cleaning, you can use free softwares on the internet like Audacity. Even if you don't have the money for all these things right now, like I didn't, that's fine. You can still start with the most basic setup you can find. What I'm trying to tell you is that you don't have to bust your back on the things you simply need as tools. That is just another way to procrastinate on perfection. Finally comes the issue of the environment, which is the hardest part to solve. I mean, sure, you can buy the best audio and video gear, but what if you have roommates or children or noisy neighbors? These are some of the worries that big YouTubers don't have. But they did have these 6-7 years ago when they first started. In fact, they had bigger problems. Well, it is raining again. Yay! As I mentioned before, that this was not the first house I was shooting in. Before this was a cramped, noisy nightmare of a one-bedroom apartment. And shooting in it was, well, an experience of its own. But hey, it was still 4 walls and a roof, so that meant something, right? It's still something. And you know what? I realized the value of that house only when I lost it. Yep. It took me losing my own house and moving into this rental to realize that everything in life is temporary and you just gotta make the best of everything that you currently have. There's no other way. This house may be less noisy than the previous one, but in India, the one thing you can't escape is construction, which just started right next to me. And including that, the heat in this house is still unbearable as usual, and my recent bad experiences with losing my house and my bad health, with all of those, fear naturally was starting to creep up on me again. I also gained 16 pounds from the stress alone, which did not help my diabetes, trust me. Oh my god, it's raining heavily now. It's funny, but this is the thing. This kind of adversity is exactly what gave me the strength I needed. And right now, I'm able to use my own voice and my own stories for these videos, and no one else's. I don't have to borrow anything. As for any technical advice on equipment, if you're really struggling with video quality, then I can suggest that you record audio first and then plaster stock videos on it from Pexels or something. Trust me, there are 100 different websites out there that'll give you access to lots of stock footage. Or you can use whiteboard animation like I did during this video and in my previous video where I talked about maintaining creative discipline. If audio isn't your strength, heck, look towards channels like The Dodo or The Story Behind, for example. They use images, zooms, and text on screen, and they make a video. That's it. They are the prime example of message over presentation. If editing is your issue, then simply press play, record, talk, and upload. That's it. Don't worry about editing or Hollywood level filmmaking right now, and just focus on your message. Don't do what I did. Do better. Lastly, you have to let go of all your worries about what people are gonna say about you being a YouTuber. Most of the people out there will laugh and be petty, and to that I just say, just let them be, because many people would not understand that YouTube is just an art like filmmaking is. And I know some jerk off from film school is losing his mind right now because I'm associating filmmaking with making YouTube videos. But you know what? YouTube is filmmaking. It is minimalist filmmaking. Yeah, it doesn't involve a crew and a producer most of the time, and that's what makes it especially harder for beginners, because you don't get a degree for this stuff, Because it's just us mostly. A one-man crew with no one to tell us how good we did in the previous video, pat our backs a little bit, make us feel better, or how we can improve in the next video, and also learning all the elements like editing to audio processing to music production for artists to 3D and animation to cinematography for short filmmakers, and literally every element in filmmaking that like only one person has to learn, that most of the time it can drive many of us mad. It has driven big names in the YouTube industry to quit. They have millions of subscribers on this platform and they quit because of burnout. YouTube is no joke. That is not to say that YouTube is as complex as filmmaking. No. What makes filmmaking complex is all the different people that are involved there. Here, we're on our own. And that is the easy part. We just have to get out of our own way. That's it. The only way to move past this fear is to let go of outside chatter, self-doubt, and insecurities. Just make something. Make the worst piece of you can make. I want you to write the worst video idea you could think of. Not only that, if you have any other hobbies besides YouTube, I want you to write the worst novel you could ever think of, paint the worst painting, make the worst music. I don't want anything perfect coming out of you at this moment. And if you even attempt to make something perfect at the beginning, I don't know who you are, I don't know what your name is, but I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to kill you. Oh, you thought I was kidding? But in all seriousness, perfection will be the death of you. Being anal about your environment or your equipment, it harms no one else's progress but yours. You will be the only one not moving forward. Most importantly, you have to understand that this whole thing is a process like everything else. And like every creative process, this is a lonely process. You're not gonna get attention, you're not gonna get approval. Not yet. Like every creative art, you just have to wait. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. If you want me to make a more technical kind of video like, say, zero budget YouTube channel or how to set up a channel or a podcast without much hassle or money, you can leave it in the comments below. And you can also leave your suggestions or your feedback to me. I am so grateful to have you here and I hope I didn't waste your time. See you next week. You can let me know in the comments. God, I'm going to hell. Bad equipment. Ow. Hurt my nose. Ow.